Yes. Usually have music and all, but not today. So, hello, beautiful Black people. This is Alaska Boston. This is our third interview of Best of Me series, and I am your lovely host and Moses. I represent Aphrodisia City, which is an event planning company. We do all kinds of events and, support our people and our artists. Today, I have a lovely guest. His name is Nigel Birch. He's not from Massachusetts. I found him through the grapevine of great arts. He's all the way from Canada and a very gentleman. So, yes, something in store to highlight your mind. So, before I do that, I want to do a lovely introduction as I bring the brother on. And for those who don't know much about him, Nigel Birch Jr. is a writer, a poet, host, mental health advocate with a new vision for love. He's a melting pot of cultural experiences which can be heard and seen through his artistry. His depth, passion, and introspection is felt on every stage and page he touches. Nigel writes from the standpoint of love and identity, bringing a new perspective to loving yourself and others. A wordsmith with clever wordplay, metaphors, similes, and the breadth of experiences, and passion that provides audiences with truth, inspiration, and optimism. Nigel aim is to inspire, and empower people to rediscover, reconnect, and re-image what is and what can be available for us, which is love. And we're going to talk a lot more about that today. So as we get started and I bring the brother on, if you would love to find more and find him, you can follow his Instagram, which I posted here, and I'll keep posting it periodically through our interview. He's also located on Facebook and YouTube, where you might see his most prized possessions of the words that he gives off to the world. So, further ado, let's bring on Mr. Nigel Birch. Welcome, my love.
Hey guys. How you doing? How you doing?
I am so good. I'm so blessed. Thank you for being on this platform. Thank you for joining me this lovely afternoon.
Yes, there's
So, yes. I mean, how are you celebrating? Well, I wouldn't say celebrate, but enjoying the Labor Day weekend so far.
smooth. It's been calm. I'm looking to possibly get into something later on this afternoon with a couple friends. Probably sit down, have some good conversations, some laughs,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then cruise it off into Monday after the long weekend and get ready for that work weekend.
I hear you. That's why I'm on a little break right now.
I
Nobody
see.
can find me.
I like the scenery.
You. So for those who don't know, I am in my favorite go-to place, which is Martha's Vineyard. I try to get out here as much as I can. It's just such a surreal, quiet area, and it has a lot of history as well too. So
Mhm.
yeah, and it's right in Massachusetts. It feels like I'm like far off of the coast somewhere, but really I'm in my own neighborhood. Just a different gem another day.
Oh, with it. Let's
Yeah,
go.
but actually going with that, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Man, that's a grand introduction you gave. Um, so I'm born in Toronto. I left Toronto when I was 17, moved to Atlanta. Um, 17. So I have definitely some roots out there in the South. A lot of my cultural experiences come from the South, and I say that I became a man in the South. But
Mm,
yeah, this is where do I begin? I think I am an artist, but I also am a child youth practitioner. So I tend to work, or I am usually in the mental health space. So I try to, when I pull ideas from my content, usually comes from the perspective of health, well-being, obviously love, introspective, things that come from my line of work.
mm-hmm.
Um, so that's important. I do that. That's my 9 to 5, but it's been able to help me carve and tie that in with how we can look at our relationship with self and other people. I think that was a very important part of the process of becoming a creative was deciding how I was going to leave my imprint on the world. And part of that was it has to be bigger than you. It has to be what issues are you trying to solve? What do you want to see the changes, or what kind of changes do you want to see? Um, so everything starts with that, and then family. I always talk about just coming from. I have a very strong tribe. My parents are divorced, but in the same breath, they are very. We're still a tight unit. So part of the vision for repurposing love was reclaiming what they once had, and at the same time, seeing how we could learn from the challenges that they had and get to a place where the outcome for me is more formidable.
Mm.
So that's where a lot of the inspiration comes from, as far as the writing. And besides that, I'm just a regular guy. Every day, I'm just trying to improve myself with, wellness is a big thing for me, whether it's, eating right, going to the gym, reading, being tied to our people. Self-knowledge is key.
Mm.
Um, and enjoying the weekends like this, having great conversations like I'm having today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm here for it. Cheers to that. Salute.
Where's your glass? I should have told you. Prepare
Well,
like.
I don't drink.
Oh,
I haven't drank in a while. And I say there's no religious reasons. I went through this fast, and then after I went through a 10-day juice fast, I changed my diet, and I haven't really had a glass of wine or anything
wow.
since. I'm due for one, but yeah. So not opposed to the alcohol. It's just I haven't got back into it yet, but it's coming soon. We're gonna
Oh, no,
celebrate.
take your time because you ain't. I
Yeah.
mean, it's always like a formation of just how to make yourself feel good and validate why the choices you make. But if you're able to think clear, I think that's like the most best medicine.
Oh, absolutely. Clairvoyance is important. That's why I meditate every day. I take 30 minutes to meditate. I wake up with the same process. Wake up, do my, pray, gratitudes and affirmations, then I do my meditation. And I know that's one of the reasons why I'm able to write every single day with clear thoughts and intention without any fear or any type of writer's block. It's
Hmm.
because of how I start my day speaking to the creator, the divine, the higher power, God, any whatever name you call him. I mean, he has an influence on how I create and deliver content.
Mm.
Absolutely. Hmm.
You so well in Boston, so well.
Oh, oh, really? Okay. Well, Boston, have me. I'm coming soon. Don't worry. 2021, I'm there.
We're
You
gonna
got
work
me.
that out, brother. We're gonna
We'll
work
work
that
it
out.
out. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Because the work that you do is just it's amazing because that's a lot of the center of what we focus here. I mean, I feel like Massachusetts is really huge on nonprofit. Especially with the movement that's happening here, like everyone's there for social justice. It's a huge thing. And then we have a lot of artists that are hitting, and folks go to places like Atlanta, New York, or
Yeah,
LA to be
yeah.
exposed. But we totally need people to stay here to make the arts bigger.
Of course, we want to thrive.
Hmm.
You hmm Have the Boston Renaissance. You guys, everybody has
Yeah.
to be their own Renaissance, a flavor of distinguished or distinctive talent, styles. Whether it's poetry, music, yeah, absolutely, art. Fine arts, yeah.
Yep. And that's been coming big after a couple years, like with the transition of our mayor, and then arts and culture czar, as you want to call it. They have made a lot of moves, and then as people know in Boston, they always see the face. So a lot of folks think that Boston is just predominantly white. I mean, they're not wrong about that, but they are melanin in
hmm
New England. It's just
Exactly. I
have a
believe.
different way of moving,
Yeah.
right?
It's like Toronto too. I think like with majority of the metropolises in the United States, they're predominantly white, and then people like we're all the black folks. They out here. They scattered, but they here. They're in
Right.
pockets, and culture thrives in there, and it's pulsing. So yeah, definitely. I know how that is already. Um, Being in a big city, that's usually the thought process. We're all the black folk. Yeah. So
Exactly.
mhm.
So, what art do you most identify with? Because you wear many hats, but I want to hear from you. So, like, what is your most go to be like, oh, Nigel Birch, what do you do?
It's hard. Like I think.
I know.
Um, so I think people it's between between performing and writing. I think it's tied. It's close. It's tied. I think people. I leave when I perform. I give my all, so there's nothing left. So I guess people feel the passion, you know the feels from my voice, but then people like the writing too, and they get the same type of feels. It's just a different medium of expression where I think hearing my voice is different. It creates a different vibe, and then writing is more individual in the sense where you can put your own spin on it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. I think it's a split between the performing and the writing. Um, yeah, it's a tie. I think it's a tie. It's down the middle. I would love to know what people think, but I think yeah,
Write your comments, guys.
yeah,
Sorry.
I prefer I prefer performing. Like I like the idea of putting your own stamp, your own unique stamp on words and my imprint of people seeing me and knowing how I try to put my stamp on the stage. I make it my home. So I like that piece more than just here's some writing and you in your own interpretation without hearing me come up with how you hear in your mind. I still want you to know where my expression of truth comes from. So I like performing more, but I would say it's split down the middle with the people. I would be I would love to see which one they lend to, but
Yeah,
I'm glad I have the opportunity to do both. But I also do stage plays too.
I was
So
about to ask you.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, HCW was a phenomenal. I was introduced before I even came back into doing poetry live. I started doing some theatrical stuff, and that's what inspired me to really pick up the mic and perform because I like the feel of being on stage and even though it wasn't my words and I was following a script, it just
Yep.
something different about being in front of an audience live. So I decided to write my own stage play, poetic stage play,
Oh.
and it was really good. I the response, because we always have a talk back after, and just to see how engaged the people were with the men and women, because I really I separated the play into four parts: sexuality, communication, fortitude, and I believe it was love. And what I was trying to show is the problem and a possible solution to what we have to deal with Black women and Black men, and
Mm-hmm.
what we're missing, whether it's how we're perceived sexually for and how that puts pressure on us as men and women, how we're saying the same thing, or there's so many similarities between the way we're communicating, but we're missing what we're saying because we're dealing with the same thing. But
Mm-hmm.
opposed to finding solutions, we're treating each other like the enemy.
Mm.
Um, for vulnerability was the other one, wasn't love. Vulnerability was one, and we talked about what is stopping us. What are the emotional barriers that stop Black women and men from allowing those layers to fall down and being transparent about who we are to one another. And then fortitude was how are we going to continue to move forward after shortcomings? Are we just going to quit and do what we want to do? Are we going to push through? So well, that was such a powerful thing because the commentary started to beg the question, do I see myself in that? Are there things that I'm willing to change? And let's talk about it. So the after show for me was so big, and I can't wait to take that on tour. Because it's just for that piece. The talk back, whoo, people are crying. Because it's the first time. What I tried to do is, I can't speak for women, but I tried to paint a story where it created a vulnerable space for men and women to not. It was like the middleman that was putting words on paper to now allow for a conversation between men and women that
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't be able to have if that mediation of the art wasn't there to facilitate that discussion, because they don't know how to ask it or they never felt comfortable to ask it, so we make assumptions. So it took out the assumptions and people are like, yeah, like you could hear the audience saying like, I relate to that. The women are saying, I relate to that. And the men are like, I never saw it that way. Women are like, I never saw. So now at the end, it's like, let's talk about it.
Dr. Love.
Well, like, listen, man, let's get busy. I want love for all people, especially our people. I want them to be able to thrive. And the question always comes to me is, do you do you over romanticize your work? That was just an honest question. I said no, because I always want to pose the possibility of a solution. Like, how are we going to move forward? And one thing that I've learned, and I think most of us have learned, relationships aren't easy. So
Tell me.
we
Say it
have
again.
to,
Sorry, say it again.
relationships are not easy. And if we want the love, we want the Love Jones, we want,
Mhm.
every single romantic film, but there's a process, and I think that no one's really talking about the possible, or throwing ideas of what is the possible steps that I may be avoiding, or where's the mark that I'm missing that's stopping me from getting this end product of the romance film that we want. And
Yep.
I think we're not talking about communication. We're not talking about vulnerability. We're not talking about sexual ideas. We're not talking about these things that should be free flowing in our relationship that will lead to a better outcome or result that we want.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I mean, I definitely wish you well, and I totally am looking forward to have you come over to my side because it's definitely needed. I mean, there's folks here who have created events around that subject. Like I think there was a group called, they call it Black Love or Black Face Love.
Mhm.
Sorry guys, if you see this, if you're butchering, you can always correct me. But it's always interesting to kind of look and observe the different generations that are actually all about that. And I'm
Right.
trying to
It's-
remember. Sorry, love. The group. What's the age group from like 40 and
Could be Generation X or Baby Boomer.
yeah.
Yeah. Like so I want to rewind because I didn't say, that's why I named my company Every Day is Valentine's Day. And
Mm,
I want everybody to live every day like it's last. And it wasn't to over romanticize. I want people to think beyond teddy bears, flowers, and cars. I want to think about how they want to love every day,
mm.
like it's your last. And so that's where, I wanted to paint the landscape of how we look like that, how we look at that. And also, I realized, to add what you're saying, love is a counterculture right now. Like people, we don't, I was like, when was the last time I heard a song where someone said, I love you in it?
Mm-mm.
It's almost like a foreign concept. So every time I hear the word bitch, I want to say a word queen. Every time I hear the word she ain't loyal, I want to talk about a woman that's loyal. I
Mm.
want to have the counter for every response that the media is throwing out there to make us believe that we're not worthy of those things. So every time I do a piece, I'm listening to rap music. I'm listening to R&B songs that are trying to make us believe something that I can now repurpose and change how that image looks and say, nah, you're worthy, woman.
Mm.
You're worthy, brother. You deserve communication. You deserve vulnerability. That's what we're here to do. Don't let them fool you to think that because they're making these artists sing those songs that we don't have a place to feel the right way. We don't have a place to heal. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't hear those things in music.
No.
So I intentionally use my voice. Like, I could talk sexual pieces all the time, but to me, that's redundant and it serves no purpose for me. I have them in the vault, but at the same time, I'm like, we could do so much more with our creativity if we're of service to people versus wanting people to serve us as an idol.
Right.
So that's just how I look at, the process of creativity and writing. Every day is Valentine's Day.
Every day is Valentine's Day, y'all.
Every day is Valentine's Day, baby.
If
Yeah.
if everyone had that mindset, I think everybody's marriage or relationships would be nice. But sometimes, you
Mhm.
know, we women are hard to read, just as men, and we might not even want the Valentine's filler day. We probably want it like, I want a rough Valentine's today. Like, I'm just tired. Just take me and just like, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you got to read the room, and I think that's what
Yeah.
another thing that we're looking at in this time, which is hard, especially for men, is we're used to people when we have privilege, as men do, white men do, black men do. We
Hmm.
don't look at the spectrum or the gray areas of things. We always want it one way and the opposite way. But I think we live in a time where, and I'm adding on to your point, where there's we're different. We have to acknowledge the different parts of our being, whether we're sexual beings, we're emotional beings, we're physical beings, we are mental beings, and they all need to be fed. And they
Yep.
shouldn't be a woman should be this way or a man should be this way. You should look at it as how I'm going to feed that person with all the varying parts. How am I going to feed the varying parts of the whole person? And it takes time, and I think that's where people struggle with at this time. Is I'm used to it being, a woman is supposed to be, but that's supposed to be is a black and white. That's not a gray. A
Right.
woman, every woman is different. She can only tell you what she is, and then you can respond accordingly to the various sides of who she is, and the same for men.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, I under, I'm looking at the evolutionary process, and we're in an interesting time where, as creatives, as people in general, we have to find a way to look at how relationships are now going to be molded, and how we look at the success of that, because how it was before was based on an unhealthy or maladaptive ideologies, meaning that a lot of times we're used to what our parents told us: a woman and a man have these roles, and we exclude the dimensions of these people, and we say, no, you're my wife because you do A, B, and C, and we're not looking at the whole totality. So I'm trying to paint those pictures through art. Is how do we see the full spectrum of a sexual woman, a woman that's assertive, a woman that's successful, a woman that's tough, but she can be strong, she's a warrior, and the same with men.
Yep.
And being uncomfortable and learning to be comfortable with the changing of the woman and the changing of the man.
Thank you. And hopefully you put in your curriculum how to basically read a woman. I think that's a big
Ooh.
issue in a relationship, because
Mm.
you might think that you might be doing something or everything is well, but a lot of us are afraid to say our really true thoughts. And I mean, I'm gonna speak for
Mm.
myself too. Like, I might say this guy is great, but he doesn't satisfy me sexually, or this guy is great, but he doesn't really understand the true value of family, or what it
Mm.
means to really be a partner, or what the space means. Like, there's a lot of things that are in between it that we as adults do not know
Yeah.
how to communicate.
Well said. Well said.
You
Well
know,
said. Yeah.
so I just want to put that out there.
No,
And
that's
now,
real. That's real.
yes,
No, that's
um,
real.
I did put another question out there. I said, "How do you define love as a black king?" I didn't want to say man, because to me you're a king. So,
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you very much. Growth and evolution. I
mm,
think the thing about love is, I think it's constantly evolving, and you have to. I think what if you change your stance on love from something that is um, has a, like, there's no end to the definition, meaning that if I met you today and I fell in love with you today,
mm,
I have to learn to fall in love with you again 10 years from now, because every 10 years you're changing. So I have to now be able to be adapt to the growth and the evolution that you're going through, because a lot of times I met you and I may love the way you were, but I can't tell you that you want to grow. I can't tell you that you want to go from black hair to blonde hair. I may not like the blonde hair, but I have to learn to love the blonde hair, because the bottom line is that's the part of evolution and growth. Are we allowing our old ideologies of the person that we love to fade away so we can make room for new ideologies and new growth, because that's where evolution is? Or are you trying to keep the person and yourself in the same place, and you're going to die? Your relationship will die, because anything that doesn't evolve will die. So I think you have to leave grounds for the evolution. So I go, and it removes the fear, because a lot of, I talk to a lot of brothers, and it's like, I'm fearful that if I get married, this, that, and that will happen. But I'm saying you're fearful because you're already thinking 10 years ahead of how you want 10 years to look, held to these ideologies today. You got to allow yourself to evolve. You don't know how you're going to be in 10 years. You just hope that you're better 10 years from now. And I think that's why I always say, like, one of the greatest qualities you can have in a partner is someone that can adapt, someone
yes,
that can mutate, can constantly change. Like, because they always talk about compatibility, which is interesting, because compatibility is cool. But you rather have, like, chemistry is can you keep that inside? Because me and you may love volleyball, but 5 years from now I may not. Does that mean that we break up, or do we find different ways in our adaptation to say, how do we now rework the changes into our new curriculum of love, and then continue to evolve? So love is growth and evolution to me. I've always had that mentality from the moment I read this book called The Roadless Traveler. It messed me up when I was young, because love. First thing Stephen says is, love, love is a choice. It's not a feeling, and it's growth and evolution.
mm,
Because I have to choose to love you when I'm angry. So what emotion is it? If I make that choice to love you regardless, I'm saying, obviously you have to judge that versus your self-love for yourself. And I can still love you and not be with you, but I have to allow myself to say, and when she makes me upset, when I make her upset, am I going to make the choice to continue going,
Mm.
continue the growth process? I'm committed to that. Like my mind is wired like that. So I don't give up. But a lot of people don't look at a love as a choice, and they look at it as a feeling, and then whatever feelings,
Yeah.
fluctuate, and they roll with, which leads to either the outcomes when you go with the feelings. It could be
Exactly. It can get you in a lot of trouble.
right, exactly.
I
So,
love you and not think straight as of like what is actually is love. Like, people mix up money and stuff like that. It's like when you're with someone, it's like, no. I mean, for me personally, I'm like, yeah,
exactly,
I feel all of you. But right now, if we're gonna be together, build an empire, we need to get these straight. All
exactly,
this is what makes us build for us to be stronger, for me to not to love you, but to understand that love that we have.
exactly. And
So
it takes a certain type of understanding of that reality, because there's two pieces in that for me. One, I understand that I'm going to fall in and out of love with my wife or
mm,
my woman or my girlfriend or your whatever you want to call your partner. I think that's a hard reality for people to digest. The reality is that there's sometimes your partner may be grieving. They may have lost a job. They might be going through menopause. They might be going through post-traumatic stress disorder or postpartum. They might be going through a lot of things that you can't control, but that could turn her investment or his investment into you off,
mm,
which they're not feeding you romantically the same way they did before. The question becomes, do you have enough reserved love for yourself to be empathetic to continue to feed that person, knowing that they can't feed you? Because that's love, but you've fallen out of love with that person because you're no longer romantically inclined or driven to do things that you guys did on the spur of the moment that brought this passion. The passion may fade for a moment. Do you have enough reserved love to pour into that person still for that time being? And I think that that's scary for people, knowing that I chose you because of how I romanticize love, which is to look like Love Jones or whatever I see. If I
right.
lose that, then I feel like we shouldn't be together. And if that's the case, you ain't gonna last that long, because there's gonna be those moments, and that's why I'm a proponent for self-love first.
Yep.
Because if I loved myself enough before I had you, that means that when you're going through something, I have enough to sustain that until you come out of your funk, and I'll continue pouring into you, and vice versa. And it keeps on going back and forth. So that's part of like my mentality. I think it's how you start is how you finish. If you feel that once you fall out of love, the relationship is going down and it's over, you
Mm-hmm.
don't be in and out of relationships all the time, because you got to allow people to be human. I got
Yeah.
to allow my woman and you got to allow your man to go through their times. As long as they're vocalizing it and they're communicating it, what can you do? You can't be like, well, I don't want to be with this person because for 5 months they've been interrupted because they lost their job or they're depressed. Well,
Mm.
that's part of their human experience. That's part of the dark side. Are you going to accept that, or are you going to just wait for them? Go, the grass is greener to somebody that can give you 20% of happiness, but then you have to see that for a full person at some point, anytime, at some point in the future too.
Mm.
So it's I think that the structure is just as important as the content. So definitely.
That's beautiful. You
You
said it real. I'm learning a whole lot right now.
Oh man,
That's the whole point. I mean, it's interesting to hear another individual, opposite sex from you, to say the things that most women are thinking, or certain
huh.
individuals that are thinking in that way that people just don't understand.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Yeah, I hear you. Definitely. I'm glad I could provide some insight if it's possible. Yeah.
but this is the point. If folks want to learn more about you, they know where to find you. I don't
You
want
know
you
where to find me. IG,
exactly.
YouTube, Facebook. Yeah.
So, what is something you learned in the last year that you wish you knew when you started your career, or yeah, let's say with career.
Fearlessness. I think you learn to be fearless over time.
Mm.
I think. Well, did I learn that in the last year to be fearless? No. What I learned the last year that you wish you knew when you started? Um, it's a great question. I think I got it. I have the capacity. I have the capacity to do unlimited amount of work. Meaning
Mm.
that right now I'm doing this thing called mixtape messages. I never thought I would be
Yeah.
writing every single day and posting every single day, because you question the capacity. Will I have time? Will I have the energy? Where will I get the thoughts from? And when you let that go, you realize unlimited information. There's an unlimited stories. There's unlimited thoughts, unlimited feels. Just don't limit your capacity to do something. That's what I told myself, and that's why I've been able to do so much at this time, at this pace, this rate, because I haven't limited my capacity. Where before I was limiting that, I was saying, okay, I might do something here, and I'll repeat. I've decided, I scripted in my mind what I was gonna do. Now I go into the day, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, mixtape message is there. Get ready to post it tonight, because I've opened up my mind to this capacity to say, you'll get it tomorrow. You'll do another one tomorrow, without questioning the ability to go forth and do that. So
that's hard for you to even share that every day. That's looks easy, but it's hard.
Yeah, it took time. It took time to just allow myself to free. I think it's to me, the word freedom comes into play when I think about that, because I'm not putting any type of limitations on what my mind can do. Like, you could put something. I was talking to my homie today, and you're like, man, maybe I shouldn't put that out because I can keep that for something else. Like, you always question the grounds of which you put out content. It's too good. It's not good enough, and you want to save it. But it's like, I remember Carolyn May's The Anatomy of the Spirit. She talks about energy abortion and energy rape.
Oh,
Like, one of the most eye-opening things I ever read, which was, giving birth to some creativity is like actually birth. When you don't give birth to it, an idea, you abort it. And then what happens when you abort the mission, or abort your child, you feel the residue emotions of the abortion, which is guilt,
yeah.
sadness, regret. Because when God gives you an idea, it was given to give birth to it. Someone in the universe needs that idea at that time that you receive the message. When you abort it, then you have to deal with the residue of those emotions after that. And then those that abort their mission commit energy rape. Try to rape people's energy that are not necessarily there, and even that they'll self-sabotage. They rape their own energy and other people's energy, and stop their dream of giving birth, because they regret the mistakes they made every time they have an abortion, or they give up their creativity. So, I try not to hold back. If something's delivered, God said, deliver it now. So now that's the mindset I have. He'll give you something else tomorrow. Don't worry about whether it's good, bad, or just put it out there. Somebody is going to receive that message and say, yo, you know what? Thank you today. I needed that. So that's been huge for me. Like, my capacity is growing, and I'm doing a lot more. I'm writing a lot more. I feel a lot free. And the biggest thing is freedom. I feel a level of freedom that I've never had before.
And that's one of the biggest things, like, as you say that, I feel like that's a lot of things that people trying to hone onto as an adult. It's like,
yeah,
because I want to be with you, I want to get married. Everyone's afraid that their freedom is going to be taken away from them. Even for me, I mean, I'm gonna lie, I still want to be committed to someone. I still want to give my all. I give my body, but I want to be able to have the freedom where I can think and still feel and do the things that I want. But I will compromise to where it's not going to jeopardize how you feel. And that's where communication comes in.
Exactly. No, absolutely. Well said. I agree.
Yeah. Thank you. Good. And this is recorded so I can go back and remember.
The gems. You should put like a little diamond on your screen every time you say a gem, so you remember, oh, this is the gem moment. Here we go. Yeah, absolutely.
So this kind of segues into what you was talking about, like, what have you been doing for the past year? But now that we're in this whole crucial time of COVID-19, what is COVID-19? But what have you been doing as an artist? I know it's been hard being around in that world, but what have you been doing to keep yourself more viable and vibrant?
Well, okay. So one, I'm frontline worker. So I'm at the front line. I'm in there with the PPE, as you said earlier. So obviously life goes on for me. I'm constantly working, but I think artistically, I can't interact with the people. But in the absence of that, what I've been doing, hella writing. I've been writing so much. I've been diving in there, and I've decided to, like, say in that moment, say, like I said before, capacity build, expand my ability, push myself, do a lot more research, hone in on my craft more, tighten the skills around my writing, because I'm not performing, and planning for 2021.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
staying connected to my family, like my mom, my dad. Like I said, my tribe is tight. My brother, NBA playoffs are on right now, so I'm dialed into some sport. Your Celtics out there, they almost blew it. They're down. I'm hoping. It's funny. Boston versus Toronto. It's Boston versus Toronto right now. So,
Yes.
and so and New England ain't no joke when it comes to sports. When the Patriots to the
Who you telling?
Celtics, the Red Sox, the Bruins. Yo,
Exactly.
yeah, Boston, New England's a sports town like Philly. You know what I'm saying? So cool. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Just chilling, just kidding. And then the regular, like I'm very methodical.
Mm.
Um, well, I should say I'm very routine based in a lot of aspects. So like I said, I wake up, I pray, I do my eating, I go to the gym, and then do some reading, and I'm here. Like it feels like the days go by so fast.
Oh yes, it sure does. Even though you wanted to slow down.
Yeah,
And then within that, what would you say your greatest accomplishment would be?
greatest accomplishment.
I know I'm hitting you with questions
Uh,
like jab, 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 jab.
I think my greatest accomplishment is is maintaining a close relationship with my parents and my brother.
Mm,
I think my tribe is like the most important thing to me at this time because I realize that, um, family is the crux to why I do what I do.
yeah.
To why I love the way I do. It's the way everything starts with my parents. Like I can't speak about that more. I think about, I'm very close to both my parents, my mom, and sometimes I'm like, you know, I'm just a deep thinker in that way. I'm like, from the moment I was in your stomach, you protected me from so many things that could have happened before I came into this world. Then I come into this world, and then you're able to prevent me from having any type of trauma. I've never been abused by family members. I was
Mm,
I was always affirmed with quality time and physical. I spent a lot of time with my dad. We did a lot of concerts. My mom, physical touch queen, affirms me all the time. I was always like my parents really saved me from a lot of things that I see outside of myself. So I'm very thankful for that. I'm indebted to them for for everything that I've accomplished. So my biggest accomplishment to the things I've accomplished is sustaining that relationship with those two people that I love so much. And of course, my brother. We'll throw him in there. We'll throw him in there. My brother's in there too. My little brother's in there too. We'll throw him in there. But yeah, that's like, I love those two to death, man. I think they really set the stage for something great. They've done it, and when I have kids and I get married, I want to pass that. And it's so important to to have a village. Like
yes.
what are your roots again? Where do
Um,
your people come from?
Nigeria.
I already knew. I already knew what time it is. The reason why is because I think that the tribal piece and the family values that you get from the motherland, not
Yep.
the others that follow the Afrocentric framework. A lot of people struggle with that, especially Afro Canadians and African Caribbeans and African Americans having that nucleus. So I value that so much at this point in my life because, as you know, where would we be without that tribe, without that unit of people around us? So
Right. Right.
much love, much thanks. But outside of that, Black woman, you know what I'm saying? Black woman has done extremely well. 2.6 million on Facebook. It, it
Hmm.
starts with parents first. I got to shout out my parents first before anything. Yeah.
Please do. No, that's beautiful because I feel like even though it might sound simple to certain folks,
Yeah.
that's the hardest relationship to ever keep
Come
yourself.
on now. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because after a certain age, you're out of that cocoon, and
Come
you're
on.
like, oh, ma, stop. They want to give you these, and I'm learning that for myself. To be honest, I'm like now at this age, I'm like, and then I start seeing around, I start looking at older adults, and I'm like, my goodness, I'm gonna be there soon. And I'm like, and all I can do is remember it's like when my parents were younger and when we struggled, and now here we are. And this is
Yeah.
what I'm giving back to make sure my parents are good. And, and you have all these expectations. It's a lot, but I'm definitely with you. And I
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
agree with that.
Absolutely. It's like you said, that was, I hear the problems that still exist and the pain, like, because how do you find solace or
Mm.
contentment with your inner child. If your inner child has never been consoled, or your inner child hasn't found closure, you're always going to live out that child until you either the reality of your parents, or you make amends with them. And I think a lot of people are still dealing with the inner child because they haven't taken the time to really explore why the generational curse happened, why their parents are the way they are,
Yep.
and they just cut them out their life, and then they pass it on to the next generation, their kids, their wives. So that's why I said they set the stage of anything that I need to be clarified, anything we need to hash out. We've always had those conversations, and of course, it was tough times, especially with my father when I was younger. But he's my guy. He's my right hand man to this day. So,
And that's because a lot of folks get all distracted that just because maybe your parents be divorced, it just all matters is that the love you have between both parents. Yes, the ideology of looking at families sticking together, especially with Black people, is
mhm,
that two parents should stay in the household. I get it, but
yeah,
sometimes it doesn't work that way. I feel
yeah,
like as long as we're strong and we're making sure that the generations that we bring into this earth, they are being loved, is the main important thing. And then them understanding what's going on between the relationship is them being clear, you know?
mhm,
So there's no hidden like, oh yeah, I see my mom, she used to bring these weird companies here and there, or my dad used to do.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
Fact.
you're trying to figure things out and be like, okay, but I love you. And all I see is you. I look like you. I breathe like you. My identity is you. As long as you care about me, that's all that matters.
That's
But
right.
that's
Facts.
me being
Absolutely.
my.
No, no, come on. That's another gem. Put the gem on the screen. Boom.
Yep, yep,
Yes.
yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So identify your favorite and most inspirational place to work.
Or career. Outside. Outside. I love nature. I love silence. I'm a they used to call me baby Jesus because of because my mom said they thought something was wrong with me because I used to just be quiet and just stare at people while I was in the crib. They wasn't sure
Mm,
if I had select mutism or I couldn't speak. And even to this day, I'm relatively quiet. Like I like to be in nature. I like the sounds of nature. Not to be cliche, but I do like to be outside, and I like night. I like nighttime. I like to work. I find a lot of inspiration at night. I find a lot of inspiration in meditation. Um,
mm,
I get a lot of my most prolific thoughts, and I always used to tell people that, and I've heard other creatives say this too. It's like it's almost like God's writing the pen for you. Like there is no way, the way that words are coming through the pen, my mind can keep up with. So I know some of it's not me. Sometimes I kid you not, I'll write a piece, and I'll have to go back because I'm unsure of why I wrote that word.
mm.
And
That's
then when I
deep.
look it up, it makes sense. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
like God, you're good. Like, how did you just decide to insert that word in that phrase and that similes right there at the right time? Like, there is no way I could have done that. There's no way. So that's why I'm always in prayer. I'm always in meditation because I know that it can be taken away from me like this.
Yeah.
This gift can be like boom right away. So yeah, like, but I find most of those times with him or with her when I'm outside. Um, or at night. I like dark spaces. I like to be like just like a little light and because it gives me feels, what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Now we're talking about that. What is your superpower? Would you have and why?
listening. Listening. That's why I'm able to write. I listen to people talk all day. They're like, where do you come up with content? I just sit and listen. I have women friends I listen to, and I listen to my male friends, and I'm like, bro, you could just write that down and you could tell a story, but I'll do it.
That's what makes you great.
Like I'll sit, like you'll watch me, like I'm sure we'll connect and we'll hang out, and you'll be like, "Nah, you good?" And you'll just see me, and you'll be like, for 40, I'll be in the room because I'm not a guy that's like ha ha, but you'll be like, "Are you okay?" And I'll be just listening to all the conversations. I'll be just like, and not particularly to take anything from it, but
Mhm.
subconsciously when I go back and write, it's all there. It's like, oh said this, yeah, and then you could like that was a thought.
Because
You
that's
know?
one thing I cannot capture. I'm like, I said that? Like, really? Oh, you was acting.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness. So yeah,
You
that's
know,
a fabulous
it's
trait.
just like so that's definitely my superpower is that the ability to listen and retain and then write it out. Because I would say writing, but I think the writing is facilitated by the information that I've captured throughout my day. So it's like, boom, caught it, boom, I write it down, and I'm there. So
Awesome.
and then I think, and then empathy is close. I think empathy is the reason why I would never say that I understand women.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say that empathy has allowed me to try to understand a woman's perspective in a way where it it makes me question my privilege as a man. And if it's gonna work, that means that I have to sit back and say, okay, her gaze, her lens is very different from mine. Just know that coming in. So just listen, be empathetic, feel what she's saying, and then that's how it swerves in. And then I'm able to question or find balance with how am I gonna approach that with my own manhood.
Yep.
And go from there. Yeah.
Okay. That's oh my goodness. I have no word for that. I just say I just like
Yeah.
I'm taking it all in. So what are you working on right now? I know we were talking earlier, but we're segueing to our time frame right now. So now this is your plug to put it in.
This is it, right?
What you doing?
We in Massachusetts?
Yes.
Boston, Massachusetts, United States. If you love the Black Woman video, we have the Black Woman scroll coming.
Say it again.
We have the Black Woman scroll coming. And all that on that scroll is the lyrics to Black Woman, the piece. And I thought it was so imperative for everybody to have something personal. I know you can watch the video and you can hear me, but it's not about me. It's about how you see those words on that page when you get up in the morning and you see it on your fridge or the back of your door to reaffirm you that you, Black women, are queen. You, Black women, are deserving. You, Black women, ... So the Black Woman scroll is coming. Following the Black Woman scroll, we have Memoirs of Mona, which is going to be my introductory book of a volume set of 7. So Memoirs of Mona is, I can't even say it right. Memoirs of Mona, Moments of Nostalgic Awareness, is me going through 4 seasons of love, from falling in love.
I didn't even know
season. 4 seasons, and that's why it's coming out in fall. So we drop fall. Fall is the first season. We fall in love. Then we go into winter, which is winter pain. Is what happens when you lose your partner or you something happened and now you're going through that season of I don't want to be around anybody. And then we go through spring cleaning, which is self-love, where you clear out your house, you cut out all the baggage, and you say I'm ready to set the stage for summer, which is summer love, and you find love again. And then the last chapter is called Queen Bee. Now, when you get this book, not saying don't read it from top to bottom. Every woman will like this last chapter.
Okay.
It's all devoted to women, like just everything that empowers you in the best way I could. I put that in that last chapter, Queen Bee. But it has a flow to it. There's different feels as you would feel in every season of your life. Like when you fall in love, it's a different feeling than when you're in pain. And then spring cleaning, when you're going through that transformation of self-love, it does feel different than when you're in love or because it's about you. Yeah. And then we already know what summer is. When you find love again, that's like that Carl Thomas Summer Rain. Like, can you? You're right. You got your sangria in your hand. You're like, hey, they got a man.
I wish I had a.
And I'm back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward. And then currently, if you don't follow me on IG or Facebook, I do this thing called Mixtape Messages 1111. I call them mixtapes because there's no use for these things. These are just, like we talked earlier, thoughts that God give me that I feel like I have to deliver to the world, but there's no format, there's no structure to them. But I feel like I constantly have to feed people with information because that is the gift that I've been given. So I do 1111 mixtape messages, and I will also be recording those as audios for Spotify.
Okay.
So those are the 3. And then forecasting, like we talked about earlier, I want to travel with HSTW, the stage play. Yeah. That to me, more so than anything, is such an impactful thing for the community more so. The books, I think you take a book, you grab your wine, your sangria, your rosé, you read the book in your private, the comfort of your own space. You get a scroll, same thing. You can look at it, reaffirm yourself. But the play, as a community to hear men and women speak to each other in a respectful, organized fashion where they can actually be open to listen based on what they see on the stage and seeing the mastermind of ideas that come from that is amazing. Like I've never seen anything like that. So
Yes, I can see it. I can see it.
you can see it, right? Just like, we just had a great, we see what's happening on stage. We understand that there's an issue. Let's talk it out now. Let's get busy. Um, yeah, so that's that.
When that tour happens, let me know, brother, because I can see it. And I'm hoping that we can create a different atmosphere where it's not the typical theater seating and table rounds type of thing. Like, I want it to be intimate where we have pillows. We sit,
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. And
yeah, we can get
yeah,
intimate. We can do some games, some workshops, and just getting people just more familiarized with themselves and what
that's right.
love is. But we'll say that we'll stay tuned for that because I know we got many hats and we can't give you all the goods right now. We're just having a conversation, right?
Exactly.
All right. So as we get closer to our end of our conversation, I wanted to know what was the best piece of advice you have been given, or what advice you can also give to others. And then we're going to show a video to close out the
What's the best piece of advice you've been given? Um, ooh, this is a tough one. This is the way you close it out. What is the best? She's like, "Yep, I got you." The best piece of advice you've been given. Um, dang, this is hard.
say good. I got you thinking.
You got me thinking. What's the best advice? There's a lot of I got a lot of great advice. So I'm trying to think.
Mhm.
What's the best advice I've been given?
I know what is the best advice that I've been given.
Yeah.
I mean, relationship wise, I was told from my childhood best friend to never really don't allow distractions to come within your home. So if you are
Mm,
dealing with issues or some doubt, that you should always try to figure a way how to handle that internally before you. You're
yeah.
not supposed to be like, oh, he ain't no good. He's a deadbeat father, deadbeat mother. Why you got to do all that? You are
Yeah.
now praying and preaching to the choir, folks who really do not care. They're just feeding into your drama. And at the end of the day, are they going home with you? Are they ones helping you make sure that your kids are going to bed or you all right? No, you're not. So you got to think about yourself and be able to make that empire that you have stronger. So that's
Yes.
what I've taken
Exactly.
from that.
Yeah. And that was the best advice you ever got.
One of it. I can't
Okay.
think of other ones. My mom would say something like, "Don't useless yourself," and in African terms means, yeah, don't be too promiscuous.
That's wild. Um,
This is called the Best of Me web series. So,
that no, I'm with you.
no,
This is difficult. What is the best advice piece of advice you've been given? Love yourself whole. What else did I get? Oh, one of the best. You can only. What's that called? You can only. You can't give somebody the love. What was it? You can't give somebody. I think. Okay, so there was the one piece of advice I always lean on or I say is give somebody you can't give somebody the love that you need.
mm,
So what that is we always say that I need somebody to give us love, but you can't give someone what you're lacking in.
mm,
So that was one piece of advice that I got. Or I usually say because we're always saying that we're always asking people to pour in us before we pour into them, but we can't pour into people if we need them to pour into us because then we have nothing to give them
right.
because we need it from them. Um, what is I want to say something around authenticity. That's where my mind is going. I'm just thinking, I don't have it. I think it's just, I keep on coming across love yourself whole. I mean, and that doesn't sound like the most prominent piece of advice that I.
I mean, and it's okay not to have one because I
Yeah,
go. My slogan is
I
"Love
think
you." So that is my
yeah,
to like place. Love
yeah,
your soul. You got to be able to love because your soul is within. People cannot really see it on the outside unless you show.
yeah.
So,
Okay, some advice I got earlier is recently, because I'm always thinking about like recently um, it was about access,
mm,
and it was one of my close guy friends said, not everybody deserves access to you.
that's
And
deep.
and what he meant by that is, um, if you give everybody access, then it takes away from your energy to create, because you have to now pour into creative energy to entertaining their needs.
Mm,
And those that respect you enough in your purpose will always give you space to do what you have to do without interrupting or taking advantage of their access to you. So the people that know, but then there's some people that will always try to have access to you. And if you continue to concede that, you'll never be able to get to your greatest self
mm.
creatively. So
That's
that was my homie told me that, that took some time. Like, dang, I was like, what do I got? You know what I'm saying? What's in this brain of mine? Yeah. Um, yeah. But yeah, that was a great question. I love it.
yeah, that's dope. No, thank you. I'm so glad and the pleasure to have these great memories and this conversation with you. So now I can always go back and feel free. You can always share it and let folks know the great things that's happening. And this is a great segue as you tap into this market on my side.
Oh, absolutely. I'm
Mhm.
excited. Yeah.
So we are almost coming to a close, and I know you have something in store. I want you to show the people or my audience about who you're about. And folks are just gonna have to stay tuned because if you like the brother, I'm planning to bring him to Boston once COVID-19 is cleared its
Mhm.
way,
Yes.
this bad storm weather. But it's all about just preparing and leaving some nice juices for the enterprise to come out. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does. It does. It does.
So my brother, if you're ready to share that video, I'm going
Yes,
to.
I will. And I just want to give some background because this is
Oh yes, go ahead. Sorry,
such a
I'm.
cool video for me. Um, I never had any projection to say I wanted to make a video that was going to make black women feel the type of way. It was crazy. I penned it, and I had to do this event called the Black Diamond Ball, and they didn't ask for anything specifically. It wasn't no event about black arts and culture. It wasn't specifically anything to do with you know any buzzwords or the state of the culture and why we need to speak to social injustice or racial inequality. There was nothing being asked about doing anything for people of color. But I penned this piece and I sent it to my aunt, and she said, "This is it." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "This is the piece." Well, okay, whatever. Like it's cool. Like I mean, I write. I felt very convicted by writing for my mother and every woman that I know, but I didn't understand what she meant. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna perform this live at the Black Diamond Ball, which is kind of weird because they don't usually, have so pro black or pro,
Right.
people of color pieces in this place. It's really, you know, uh, this elegance and this, that, and the other. But my thing is black is excellent, so it doesn't matter
Right.
what I'm performing. I'll do
Elegant.
whatever I want. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But so when I did the piece, um, what got me is no one said, Nigel, you're this, you're that, you're an amazing poet. This, that, and the first thing they said is thank you. The women said thank you for being the voice because we've never heard someone actually proclaim that out loud.
Mm,
And it hit me different because I was like, hold up. So you're telling me that people, men are not professing specifically to black women how the qualities or the things internally, externally, crying and being vulnerable about their expression towards Black women. This can't be right.
Nope.
I was shocked. Like the amount of people were like, they're like, thank you for, and it was just the appreciation for them feeling valued in that moment. That hit me different. So I was like, okay, so we need to do a video, right? Because I started looking at YouTube, Black videos where Black men are professing to Black women. Couldn't find anything. So how the video was done, another thing that was so organic, I said, I want to get 20, 30 women that don't know each other, and we'll just have a day at my friend's house, and the men will serve the women.
Wow.
So we allowed the women. So there was no plan for how we were going to execute this video. We just brought everybody there. We served them like, some wine. We had fruits. We had, Palo Santo, and I'm not Palo Santo. Yeah, we had like platters, and we said, we make sure that they feel comfortable in this space, and we'll use a book with a couple poses to execute this.
Mm-hmm.
The women, long story short, left as now with a new sisterhood because of the energy that was created that they didn't have before. But also we were able to create this vision that this was so organic, it was so pure. It was, you could feel the sisterhood, the love, the womanhood, and it wasn't scripted. If I could never do this video again and then have the same exact energy because it was so organic, it was so meant to be. So that was, and that's why I appreciate this video so much, because after that I did Dear Mama, but Dear Mama was planned, you know what I'm saying? And it had the same, it had the same conviction, but you can't, duplicate what happened in the Black woman video. Like that will never happen again that way. So that's how that video came about. So every time I watch it, I remember the women coming in one by one and them introducing themselves on the couch. I'm so and so. I'm so and so. Nice to meet you. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm happy to be here. And we were there for 8 hours, and it was like a vibe. I was like, man, this is magic. Black women are magic. I had a new appreciation for y'all watching, because men don't do that in that type of in a space like that. They were so
how to
don't do that, and that's why I want more men to be able to just be in a room. Like I wanted the men to be there to serve and not say a damn thing. Don't say nothing. Just watch how these women interact. Let's watch them. Watch how black women are magic. If you sit back and you don't try to challenge, don't say watch. Just watch.
I'm excited. You got played now. You got played now.
All right, here we go. Black woman. I've done enough talking. Here's the Black woman video by yours truly. Dude Anthony is the director, and all these fabulous women are from the city of Toronto. So here we go.
So yeah. You share your screen? Oh, yes. All right. Ready? You ready? Yeah. All right. Stay tuned, y'all.
Black woman. I would be a fool to think there's something more astonishing than the way you wear your mahogany as if it's your birthright. Mm-hmm. I've seen it with my own vision. You're the only thing that's caught my eye, but still worthy of the throne, because everything you do is a clear indication that God spent time on your creation. Black woman. When I was a man boy, I used to enjoy playing make-believe. I wasn't mature enough to understand your gospel, so I didn't believe in you. I just picked at your scriptures and filled in the gaps with my own conclusions without reading your whole story. But you are the most beautiful novel ever written. Black woman. You've opened me up in ways that can only be explained through divine intervention. When life felt claustrophobic, you were the opening on fire escapes, climbing through my exposed wounds that were too sensitive to touch. Black women. Were privy to my secrets, I only expressed the rooftops where endless screams were heard and tears are forgotten. They carried a lantern through my darkest corners and found the remains of my self-love. A black woman made my potential her deity. She's the only one that truly had faith in what she was yet to see. Black women are known for their courage, but carry most of their weight on their tongue, strong enough to lift a man's spirit. Oh, I love my black woman. Black woman, you are deserving of so much more. I speak on behalf of the men that have failed to protect you, always having a justification for why your skin doesn't deserve to be abuse-free, and would rather you pay for their sins because they're too broke to take accountability for their actions. I will humbly become your living sacrifice. I'm indebted to you for all the senseless men that see you as no more than a commodity and turn a blind eye to your trauma, leaving you with the permanent sense of arrogance that smells like male privilege. I'm indebted to you for all the men that have remained silent in the face of your mistreatment and rejection when you need us to be the reverb that echoes your sentiments. Black woman, your womb carries our baby, so I put respect on your name. And I'm eager to love you because for centuries I was forbidden to out of fear of losing you. Black woman, I want to be your organ donor. I promise to give my heart to the one that needs it most. You, my black woman, not only at first but at last will be together because you mean the world to me. No other woman on the planet has endured the plight you've experienced, so I apologize in advance for the men that misinterpreted your strength as some sort of posturing that says you're better than them. Through all their insecurities and projections, they're yet to see that the motion picture of your life has always been a frontline war. And when one man is down, you gotta pick up your bootstraps and keep on surviving. Our black women are surviving. How long will you have to carry the load down lonely roads before we step up? Black woman, you are enough. There is nothing missing from your recipe. You are the brown in my sugar, the flavor shot of caramel in my coffee, the grinds of cinnamon in my heart. Our love can't be measured, but we add up. We are God's match before human mutual interest and cosmic compatibility. I've cheated on self-hate and I have a love affair with your melanin. Your beauty is never in question. I'm ready to give your feminine energy a comfortable space for your temporary moments of weakness to find refuge. I'm committed to removing the barriers built by men laid with bricks cemented with infidelity, lust, and lies. I want you to hold on to your attitude, but allow me to bag the angry chip on your shoulder created by false promises of headship that couldn't anchor your stability. Black woman, I am your black man. And I know some days it doesn't feel that way, but trust me, I'm your ally. And I'm hurting too. But with courage comes great sacrifice, and I'm committed to removing that fear for you, black woman. Never be apologetic for your sense of strength and responsibility. It's you that continues to restore the black man's dignity. And when we rise, I promise, I will not stop your right to human liberty. Black woman, you are my equal. And I don't find your completeness a threat to my manhood. So allow me to be the sum of a man that loves your total woman. Black woman, let me love you, love you, love you.
Black woman. I love you, black woman. I love you, black woman, for your strength, resilience, and for loving me.
Yes.
For your beauty and your loyalty.
You are our nourishment.
Black woman, I love you for holding me accountable, for loving me with and without my flaws.
All right, all right.
Thank you. I'm sitting here, I'm getting chills. And that's basically what made me actually.
You can't get in shape because you don't have an hour to go do cardio every day. Nobody has.
Okay, there we go.
Like,
Let's get that.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I mean,
Much love.
this is what great thing about sharing content. At least you can always go back and I feel like the arts and culture, for at least for New England, folks are a little bit like, who do I follow? Who's got some great work? So that is basically more what I do, is introducing my people into what something they're not, or what's not available to them.
I love that.
Sharing information. So now, like, wow, we've been talking for like an hour. This is beautiful.
I mean, this is normal things, man. You know, when you got a vibe and you're open to have those transparent conversations, you can go on for days to tell you. Remember back in the day, you used to be able to, people like, what happened to that time where you was on the phone until 4 o'clock in the morning with that person that you was vibing with? And it just as simple as that, you know, less trauma, less baggage, more vulnerability. You're more free when you're younger. You can do that. We're so protected these days. It's hard for us to really open up to people for that amount of time. So we're too busy thinking about fear and distrust. So yeah, man, good vibe. I'm here for it.
Thank you. And folks who are just joining in, please, you can always, it's about to be ending soon, but you can always go back and revisit the interview and hear this great lovely brother, Mr. Nigel Birch. Thank you so much for joining me today on this lovely afternoon, wherever you are. And yes, just being able to celebrate Black and be whole and take in that Zen. So thank you very much. And we'll definitely be working together in the future. And that's what
Oh
I'm
yeah,
hoping for.
absolutely. It will happen. It will come to pass. I'm
Yes.
waiting for it. Massachusetts, I'm coming for you.
Oh, yeah. You already know. This is just a
Uh,
year of transition. And now we're going to
absolutely,
make it great.
absolutely. I'm with it. Thank
All
you
right.
for having me. I really, I'm humbled and appreciative to be on this platform with you today. So thank you.
Likewise. Thank you. I appreciate you having you online as well. Thank you all for supporting. Again, you see the ticker banner on the bottom. If you love to support local artists or artists in general, please Cash App, $ ADCEM. If not, don't worry. We'll find ways to always support the artists in the community. So, with that said, this is Me Web Series every first Sunday of the month. And stay tuned for more great conversations with our lovely people. Thank you and peace out. Love your inner soul, y'all.